Hey, what is going on, guys? Havoc here, and I figured I'd do something a little bit different out of the playthroughs that I currently do on the YouTube channel. I figure I'd do one of those tier maker videos where I personally rank all the Resident Evil games from either S, A, B, C, D, or if I've never played it, it's going to be here. And there's a few that I've never played, but I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while. And some of you may agree with my choices. Some of you may be like, what the hell? That game's terrible. But I will explain each of my choices and maybe you'll better understand. Again, these are just my opinions, and at the end of the day, we're all fans of the Resident Evil franchise, all the video games, even the bad ones. I know I still go back from time to time playing the bad ones because it's Resident Evil, and that's just what I do. So again, don't take this ranking to heart if I don't rank your favorite game higher than another. Again, this is just my opinion, okay? So, we're going to start it off with the OG Resident Evil. I played this game, I believe at the time it was the director's cut. I'm trying to think back because it's been a minute. I think when this game came out, I was 13 years old, 12 or 13. And I didn't play much of it as a kid. I didn't really get back into this game until I was much older. And from what I played and completed, it has its pros and its cons. It didn't age well, but it still has that slapsticky dialogue that we all grown to love at this point. The game is just one giant meme, but it's the game that started it all, so you have to respect that. So for that, I'm gonna put it OG Resident Evil in the B tier. We're gonna leave it right there. Now at the end of these, if we need to shuffle some things around, we will. But right now, to kick us off, OG Resident Evil B tier. Now, Resident Evil 2, another OG game. I played this game. I remember fondly my younger brother got this game for his birthday, and that night, myself, him, and one of his friends, I believe, we sat down in our bedroom, and he fired up the PlayStation, popped the disc in, and that's when it all started, really, honestly. We sat there at the very beginning, as soon as Leon and Claire crashed the cop car, and you're surrounded by these engulfing inferno, and there's zombies everywhere, and we didn't know what the hell to do. We stood there trying to learn the controls and everything because, again, you know, we didn't know what to do. And we died at that beginning part so many times. We were constantly passing the control around till we finally figured it out. I want to say it took us maybe a couple hours, maybe. But that very beginning, we knew right there and then that we're about to play something special, especially dying so many times at the very beginning. And I've gone back to this game time and time again over the years. And for the longest time, this was my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. For the longest time. So for that, RE2 Original, S tier, our first S tier game. Now we go to Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I love this game. Again, this game was also in my top 3. This was actually number 2 in my top 3. Fond memories. I always go back to playing this. It kind of tweaked a little bit from what Resident Evil 2 brought us. The quick turn, most notably, the quick turn. It just, oh man, I think I constantly play this game at least one time a year just to go back on it, and I usually play it on my PS Vita, although I do own multiple copies of the game by the time I'm traveling or vacation. I bring the Vita with, and I have my OG, Resident Evil games on it. The first game I fire up is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis because so much action. You're being hunted down by Nemesis. It was just awesome. And again, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. We got another S tier rank. Resident Evil Survivor. Sadly, I have never played this game before. I've seen videos on YouTube, I've seen people play it, but I have never experienced Resident Evil Survivor. I know it gets a mixed bag, more of the negative if anything, but I can't give it a proper ranking because I've never played it, and that wouldn't be fair. So we got our first never played, and there's going to be a few, but eventually I do want to play these games that I've never played before. Some are very rare to find because I have searched them myself, and some of them are very expensive. So we'll see. Next up we have Code Veronica. Now this game I have a love-hate relationship with, and there's a couple games here on the list that I have a love-hate relationship. I last played Code Veronica, I want to say about 3 years ago, and I don't know how to feel about it sometimes. I like the story. I like what they were trying to go with. Steve is probably one of the most annoying characters in Resident Evil, in my opinion. That's why I'm hoping they do a remake to give this game to finally give this game justice. But Code Veronica, man, I got a love-hate relationship with it. It drags a little bit. Some of it is a pain in the ass. But not as bad as another game that I'll get to that I just completed here on the YouTube channel. But for that, do I feel that Code Veronica is better than the OG Resident Evil? Yes. So it's still going to be B tier, but just ahead, Resident Evil. So let's swap those two. Resident Evil Gaiden. Never played it. Very rare to find. I've seen gameplay of it on YouTube. It looks interesting. I will say that. But I've never played it. And this game's expensive to find. I don't know if I'll ever get to play it. So we're just going to put in the never played. Next we got Resident Evil Survivor 2. Never played it. Again, can't really comment on it because I've never played the game. But maybe someday. Now we have Resident Evil Remake. A upgrade from the OG. I would say, and I think a lot of people would agree, is probably among the most perfect remakes in Resident Evil, maybe even in gaming history, especially for its time. And there's even a rumor going around that there might be a remake of this remake to kind of put it all on the RE engine, which I think all Resident Evil games at this point, if they're going to bring them back, put it on the glorious RE engine, because we'll buy it, we'll play it, we'll love it. But for this, I got to this game late in my life, but I played it multiple times. Last time I played it was a few years ago. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked all the changes, the upgrades. The dialogue was not as cheesy, but not perfect. It gave it a little bit of character, I guess. I loved it. And I do plan on doing a playthrough of Resident Evil Remake here on the YouTube channel, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, actually that playthrough might be currently going by the time you're watching this video. But for that, we're going to get our third S tier game. We're going to put it snug right there next to Nemesis. It's not in my top 3, but it did such a great job from the OG Resident Evil to what was that, 6 years later they did the remake, and it was just simply awesome. Now we go to another game that I have a love-hate relationship, and I just completed that playthrough not too long ago, and that playthrough is currently up on the YouTube channel. Resident Evil 0. Now, the pros and cons. Pros, graphics. I like some of the characters. I like they fleshed out Rebecca Chambers. I like Billy. I like the Billy character. I wish they did a little bit more with him. But let's talk about the main gripes of this game. No inventory box. You got to use rooms as basically one giant inventory box. Mother of God, that was a chore. It felt like I was playing two different games. That's how annoying it was. And you can't even upgrade pouches or like inventory space on your character. You're stuck with the 6 spots. And you're constantly exchanging items. You know, I felt like that's what I was doing majority of the time playing this game, was dropping items, picking up an item, giving, you know, Billy this item and giving it back and leaving this in one room and remember to backtrack to pick it back up again. That's one thing. The bosses were very, very mediocre. I did like the Proto Tyrant towards the end of the game. But the other bosses prior to that just felt very flat to me. The story, you know, I liked it. I liked the story. But just no inventory. What were they thinking? Like, come on, man. That was a pain in the ass. The game took a lot longer for me to complete just on that alone, because I felt like I was constantly going into my menus, seeing what I needed, seeing what I didn't need, and it just sucked ass. It was the second time I completed Resident Evil 0. I'm sure I'll play it again because, like I mentioned before, we're all fans of the franchise, even the bad ones. We'll play them. I'm sure I'll play this again sometime down the road, and hopefully it beats the time to complete what I had prior. So for that, Resident Evil 0, I'm going to give that a C. Our next up is, I think that's what, Deadly Aim? Dead Aim? Yeah. Never played it. Again, I've heard mostly negative things about this game. So we're just going to put in the never played. Never touched it. Outbreak 1 and 2. We're going to do these back to back. Now, I played very little of Outbreak 1. Never really played Outbreak 2. I watched my younger brother play Outbreak 1 and 2, and he played it a lot. But this is my tier list, not his. And for that, Outbreak 1 and 2, I'm gonna have to put them at never played, because Outbreak 1, I played very little of it. Never beat it. Never played Outbreak 2. I've heard great things about it. I've seen people like mod it to the point where you can still play it. And that would be a game I would love to get back into, but never played them. And I'm just going to add that to the list of games I will, never played, but I would love to play. So again, 1 and 2, right there. Resident Evil 4, the OG. Now this may be a hot take. This is where you guys will turn off the video and give it a dislike. Now, before I go further, where I'm going to seed it at, I do not hate this game. I believe this game, at the time, kind of rejuvenated Resident Evil a little bit. Got away from the tank controls, move over to the over-the-shoulder point of view, which I think works great when it comes to Resident Evil. The story of RE4 is phenomenal. Graphically, for the time, phenomenal. One thing I didn't like personally with Resident Evil 4 is just the controls. Now, I know it also depends on what platform you play it on, because I've seen videos where, the GameCube version of this game is the best version, if you're not playing it on PC, that is, obviously, but The GameCube version is the best version to play on console. I played it multiple times. I played it on the PS2, the PS3, and I have it on the PS4. And I can tell you that it does play different on each console. On the PS4, I feel that it plays horrible. It's very janky. It feels like the frame rate drops a lot on the PS4 version of it. I played it on the PS3. It ran a lot more smoother. PS2 it ran smoother, but not for the PS2 version. The graphically not up to par compared to the GameCube version of the game. Resident Evil 4 OG, phenomenal game, one of the greatest games of all time. But for me, it never cracked my top 3 of my favorite games. Not saying it's not a great game, it is. But I didn't really have a lot of fun time with it because I was constantly battling the controls. I even went back to try to play it, I think a couple years ago, on the PS4 version of the game. Not knowing at that time that different versions of RE4 play different. And I might give it another go to kind of redeem itself. But I respect the game. You know, it got us back into Resident Evil survival horror, because after that, you know, it was kind of hit or miss because a lot of these side games and all this stuff, but I respect it. So for that, it's still an S tier game. Still an S tier game. Not ranked as high as RE2 or RE3, so I'm gonna put it right in the middle, right there. Still an S tier game, guys. Don't come after me. That's why it's not ranked as a higher S tier above RE2 and RE3, but it's still an S tier game. Now, we have Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. Now, this game, I played very little of it. I think I got halfway through it when it first came out. Didn't complete it, but it's a game I definitely want to get back into. Same thing with Darkside Chronicles. I'm going to kind of lump those together like Outbreak 1 and 2. I played both, never completed it, so I can't give you my full opinions on it. So for that, we're going to put it to the never played. But it's a game we're definitely going to play sometime down the road. Alright, now we're on Resident Evil 5. I played this game when it first came out. Haven't played it since. But what I do remember is I had a lot of fun playing it. I know there was a lot of controversy about the game going into it. We're not going to get into that. But I did enjoy myself. Now, where do I rank it? Is it better than Code Veronica? Yeah. Is it better than Resident Evil Remake? No. Is it an A tier game? I say so. So that's why it's going to go to the A tier. It's definitely a game I would love to get back into, and I'm definitely going to play it, as what I'm doing on my channel is playing through all the Resident Evil games in order. So that will definitely be a game that I'm going to pick right back up and do a playthrough of. Now we have, I believe this what? Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D, is that what it says? Never played it. Don't really have an opinion on it because I don't think I've ever went out my way to see gameplay of it. Never played it. Can't really give you an opinion on it. So we're going to put it to the never played. Resident Evil Revelations. I just played this game for the first time a few months back actually, and I actually quite enjoyed it. We're going to lump both Revelations and Revelations 2 in this one. I played the first one. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I never had a chance to play Revelations 2 yet. That is going to be played. Don't you worry. I'm going to get to that game. I heard actually a lot more people like Part 2. But I played the first one. So to give it its rank, I'm going to put it as a B above Code Veronica. As for Revelations 2, Never played. I do own it. I do plan on playing it. But for now, never played. Now we're going to start getting into some games here that I've played that's going to raise some eyebrows. Because we're going to start hitting a line of games that are not so good in Resident Evil. We're going to kick it off with Operation Raccoon City. Now, this game is fun to play with friends. I will say that. When I first played this game, it was a group of buddies of mine, and we rushed right through it. It was a lot of fun. Now, I believe the story in Operation Raccoon City is not canon to the RE world of things, because you know, spoiler alert, you kill Leon, and I believe you also kill Claire at the end of the game. I believe there's a choice. There's like a choice to do it or not. But anyway, now, is this game a great game? No, it is not. Some people have it ranked among the worst games in the RE franchise. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually liked some of the story elements and beats going along with it. It's not really a love-hate relationship, but it's more of a guilty pleasure game that I'll go back to, and I do plan on playing this game here on the channel eventually. Now, is it better than RE0? No. But did I enjoy this game more than RE0? Yes. So it's ranked a C tier game, but it's going to be above RE0. And then we have our revelations. Okay, so we got RE6. So this game, my opinions on this may ruffle a few feathers here. RE6, to me, there's many ways to, I guess, grade this game or rank this game. The Leon campaign, I thoroughly enjoyed. That felt like old school Resident Evil to me. Everything else was utter trash. Point blank. Point blank. Not even the Leon campaign can redeem Resident Evil 6, in my opinion. That's how bad this game is to me. And for that, this game, RE6, is our first D rank. Alright, we got Umbrella Corps. Now, never played it. I do own it. I heard a lot of negative things about it. So, I know it's a bad game, but I'm going to try it eventually. I do have it. But it's a game I never played, so I can't rank it. So for that, we're going to put it to the never played. Resident Evil 7. Now this game is tricky. A lot of people liked it, but some Resident Evil purists didn't really like this game. It didn't feel Resident Evil to them. I can understand that, the different point of view, and it was just a different storyline. You know, we didn't have we had Chris, but you didn't see him towards the end, so you didn't know at the time. You don't have the typical Leon, Claire, Jill, any of those guys. You had Chris, like I said, like the final 5 minutes of the game. But a lot of people, I would say a lot, but like, again, some RE purists didn't really like this game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought this is probably among one of the scariest Resident Evil games I've ever played. It was holy shit, like, especially at the beginning. I would say the first couple hours into this game, it was a nightmare in a very good way. So for that, I'm gonna rank RE7 as a A tier above RE5. Now we're going to start getting into some of the recent remakes and side games within those remakes. RE2 Remake. Remember when I mentioned that RE2 and RE3 OG were among my top 3 games of all time when it comes to Resident Evil? Well, RE2 Remake surpassed in my eyes, in my opinion, the original RE2. It's everything I wanted in a Resident Evil game. The over-the-shoulder point of view, reminiscent of RE4 or not RE4 remake, but we'll get to that. But RE4, everything. It just felt more dark and sinister. It just, everything felt more just, oh my god. I played this game so many times on repeat. It feels like at least I play this game 4 or 5 times a year. Just, I constantly play it because I love it that much. And for that, RE2 Remake, not only S tier, but ahead of OG RE2. Now we go with the little, I guess, this bonus game that came with, I don't think this one came. I think this was a standalone. Resistance, I believe? I have it. Never played it. Didn't really hear good things about it, but can't really judge it, so we're gonna just drop it into the old have not played. RE3 Remake. Now for this game, is it better than RE2 Remake? No. Is it better than RE3 Nemesis OG? No. Is it a bad Resident Evil game? No. Now, it felt like I recently played it again, and although I enjoyed it, it maybe felt it just was empty to me, and very disappointing in that sense, because if I'm not really trying to compare it to the OG RE3, but like, you know, RE3 original in my top 3, you figure remake, you know, would just up the ante on it, and it fell very flat to me. Is RE3 Remake better than RE5? Yes, I feel like it's better than RE5. Is it better than 7? No, it is not. So for that, smack in the middle between RE7 and RE5. I feel like it's better than Revelations of Code Veronica and the OG and all these other games. I feel comfortable putting it right here. Resident Evil Village. I like this game. I like what they did with Ethan, and I guess kind of a twist ending, really. If you never played it, I'm not gonna ruin it for you, even though it's been out for years. I'm not gonna ruin like the little twist ending to it, but I enjoyed it. I like some of the boss battles and the cast of characters that you're into. Was it better than 7? No, not to me. Is it better than RE3 Remake and RE5? Yeah, I'd say it is. So for that, the A tier just ahead of RE3 Remake. All right, now we get to our final 2 here. RE-verse. I have it, never played it, can't give you an opinion, wouldn't want to. Put it there. Now we have Resident Evil 4 Remake. I love this game. I felt that it redeemed so many things. It did things so much better than the OG RE4. Again, just my opinion on it. I thoroughly enjoyed everything about it. I can't wait to jump right back into it. My only knock on this game is the voice of Ada. Now, not to the point where I'm, you know, sending evil and mean, threatening tweets to the voice actor of Ada, but I did not care for the voice acting of Ada Wong in RE4 Remake. But that doesn't take away from everything else. It was phenomenal. I loved it. Can't wait to get back into it. That's why RE4 Remake cracked my top 3 of my favorite RE games of all time. Actually, it's my number 2 favorite RE game of all time. So we're gonna move that bad boy up to the S tier, right ahead of RE2 Original. So there you have it, guys. That is my tier list. Again, feel free to sound off in the comments below because I know some of you want to. But let's keep it civil. We all have our opinions. Feel free to, if you want to do a friendly debate, that's perfectly fine. Feel free to let me know what I got wrong, what I got right, what I got just right. Again, feel free. Drop me some knowledge, you know, like, hey, maybe I missed something. I'm always here to learn. And maybe we'll do another tier list of ranking the Resident Evil characters from all the games. Maybe we'll do something like that if it's something you guys want me to do. So with that being said, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, hit that little bell on your way out of this video, and for more Resident Evil content, please subscribe. So until then, I will talk to y'all later. Peace.